Willie Nelson's quiet final chapter feels different than anyone expected. For most legends, people expect a final act, a farewell tour, one last speech, a spotlight frozen on a final bow. But that was never really Willie Nelson's style. His life didn't move in dramatic endings. It moved in miles, in highways, in bus rides through the dark, in small towns and giant arenas that started to blur together after a while. For decades, Willie didn't treat touring like an event. Touring was life. The road was home. The stage was routine. And the next show was always waiting somewhere just over the horizon. That's what makes this chapter feel so different. Because with Willie, the road never stopped all at once. It just started changing. Quietly. Slowly. In ways that were easy to miss at first. A shorter set. A little more space between shows. A chair on stage where there never used to be one. A pause between lines that lasted just a second longer than before. Nothing dramatic. Nothing anyone needed to explain. But the meaning was there all the same. And maybe that's the hardest kind of ending to watch. Not the sudden kind. The gradual kind. The kind where the music is still playing, the crowd is still cheering, the lights are still on. But time is beginning to show itself in the spaces between the songs. Because Willie Nelson spent most of his life moving forward. And when a man has lived like that for more than half a century, slowing down doesn't just feel physical. It feels personal. The road was never just where Willie worked. It was where he became who he was. Back in the 1970s, long before the braids turned grey and long before audiences started seeing him as the last living bridge to an older country music world, Willie was already building a reputation for something almost unbelievable. He just kept going. After Red-Headed Stranger changed everything in 1975, most artists would have stopped to enjoy the moment. Awards, interviews, press, celebration. Willie did the opposite. He got on the bus and headed to the next town. That rhythm carried him through the outlaw era, through every shift in the music business, through decades that swallowed other careers whole. The road didn't wear him down. It seemed to keep him alive. It was the place where he felt most like himself. But time does something strange to people who have spent their whole lives in motion. It doesn't always arrive like collapse. Sometimes it arrives as awareness. You notice you're breathing a little sooner than you used to. You feel the fatigue sitting heavier after the show. Your body starts making decisions you didn't invite it to make. And for someone like Willie Nelson, who built an entire identity on endurance, that kind of change doesn't just affect the schedule. It affects the soul. At 92 years old, Willie has outlived almost every expectation people ever placed on him. Think about that. 92 years of touring, recording, writing, surviving, adapting. 92 years of American music history moving through one man with a guitar. By this point, every performance feels bigger than a concert. It feels like a borrowed moment. A small extension of something people know cannot last forever, even if nobody wants to say it out loud. And the truth is, age is only part of this story. Because one of the heaviest things about growing older in public isn't just what happens to your body. It's what happens to the people around you. For Willie Nelson, that realization came one empty chair at a time. There was a time when the room around him was crowded with giants. Men who didn't just share stages with him, but helped shape an entire era of music. Men who understood what it meant to push back against the polished Nashville machine and make songs on their own terms. Men who didn't need to explain themselves to each other because they had lived through the same battles. Then came the Highwaymen. Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson. 4 voices. 4 outlaws. For men who didn't just sing about freedom, but built careers around it. When they came together in the mid-1980s, it felt larger than music. It felt mythic. Their song Highwayman carried this strange, beautiful idea that a soul could keep returning in different forms, traveling through time, refusing to fully disappear. At the time, it sounded poetic. Now it sounds almost haunting. Because one by one, the voices in that circle went quiet. Waylon Jennings died in 2002. Johnny Cash followed in 2003. Then, in September 2024, Chris Christopherson passed away too. And just like that, Willie Nelson became the last highwayman still standing. That changes the way people see him. When Willie walks on stage now, fans don't just see a performer. They see a witness, a survivor, a living memory of something that no longer exists anywhere else in full. He is no longer just representing himself. He is carrying an entire chapter of American music behind his eyes. And survival, strangely enough, is not always the same thing as winning. Sometimes survival means you're the one left holding the stories. That kind of loneliness doesn't always show up in interviews. It doesn't always have words. But it's there. In the pauses. In the names mentioned casually. In the quiet recognition that the people who once filled the backstage rooms with jokes, arguments, and old stories now live mostly in photographs, recordings, and memory. That may be the real heartbreak of getting older in music. Not just slowing down, but realizing how many voices used to travel beside you. And while loss changed the emotional shape of Willie's world, the body was changing too. For most of his life, Willie operated by one simple rule. If you could walk on stage, you played. That was it. No drama. No long negotiations with yourself. You stepped under the lights and let the songs do the rest. But over the last several years, that rule has become harder to follow. In 2019, fans got a glimpse of that reality when several of Willie's scheduled tour dates were suddenly cancelled. The reason was breathing problems. Doctors told him to rest. For younger artists, that might sound routine. But for Willie Nelson, rest had always been the exception, not the rule. He had played through exhaustion before. Through pain. Through the kind of wear and tear most careers never survive. But age changes the conversation. It forces a man to listen differently. And Willie did what he has done more than once in recent years. He slowed down just enough to keep going. That's what makes this stage of his life so remarkable. He never really embraced the farewell tour mentality. He didn't turn aging into a production. He didn't start selling some grand final goodbye. He just adjusted. The schedule got lighter. The sets got tighter. The chair appeared on stage. And audiences, instead of resisting it, seemed to understand exactly what it meant. They applauded louder. Because by then, everyone in the room knew the truth. At 92, the miracle wasn't that Willie Nelson looked the same as he did in 1978. The miracle was that he was there at all. Still singing. Still picking up trigger. Still stepping into the light. But what fans don't see is the calculation that now happens hours before the music starts. The conversations backstage. The checking in. How is his breathing tonight? How much energy does he have? Can he make it through the full set? Should a date be postponed? Should he rest another day? Those are the hidden negotiations of a long career. And they're painful in a way younger people don't always understand, because the talent is still there. The instinct is still there. The soul of the music hasn't gone anywhere. What changes is the machine carrying it. The lungs. The muscles. The endurance. That's the part no applause can fix. And yet Willie kept showing up. Maybe not with the same physical ease. Maybe not at the same relentless pace. But with the same essential belief, as long as the guitar is in his hands, the show should go on. That belief carried him through another hidden cost of the road too. The silence that comes after the music ends. Fans see the performance. They hear the songs. They witness the standing ovations and the emotional crowd reactions. But they rarely think about what comes afterward. The hotel room. The quiet. The air conditioner humming in the dark. The television left on, not because anyone is watching, but because the sound keeps the silence from pressing in too hard. That contrast has always been part of life on the road. The stage is loud. The room afterward is not. And when you've lived between those two worlds for more than 60 years, the silence begins to carry its own kind of weight. In younger days, those late-night hours were often filled with people. Bandmates. Friends. More music. More stories. More laughter spilling into the next morning. But time thins all of that out. Not in one blow. Slowly. Quietly. One person retires. Another drifts away. Another passes on. Before long, the room still looks the same, but the feeling inside it has changed. Even fame can deepen that distance. Because once someone becomes a legend, people start treating them differently. With reverence. With caution. With admiration. And while that sounds flattering, it creates space where closeness used to be. Friendship needs ease. It needs people willing to interrupt you, joke with you, push back on you. Legends don't always get that anymore. They get respect. And respect, for all its warmth, can still feel lonely. There's also the part of Willie's story that unfolded away from the spotlight. Family. Children. Marriages. The private life that had to compete with a public calling. Like so many artists who built careers on constant movement, Willie spent years telling himself the same thing countless musicians tell themselves. One more tour, one more album, one more stretch away from home, and then life will slow down. But it rarely does. Success creates momentum. And momentum has a way of turning into habit before you realize how much time has passed. Birthdays get missed. Family events happen without you. Children grow in ways you only fully notice later. Willie has admitted versions of that truth in interviews over the years, usually in a simple sentence that says more than a long confession ever could. He's acknowledged that he probably wasn't around as much as he should have been. That kind of honesty matters because it reveals something fans often forget. Fame doesn't protect people from ordinary regrets. Sometimes it sharpens them. Willie eventually found long-term stability with Annie D'Angelo, whom he married in 1991. Their life together gave him a more grounded center. They raised 2 sons. But even that stability didn't erase the fundamental tension between music and presence. The road kept calling. The work kept expanding. The songs kept needing to be sung. And maybe that's one of the deepest truths in Willie Nelson's life. The same road that gave the world so much of his music also took something from him in return. Time. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that can be reduced to scandal or tragedy. Just in the slow, quiet way life always collects its price. The songs lasted. The tours built a legacy. But some moments passed while he was still moving forward. And now, in the quieter rhythm of this chapter, those trade-offs are harder to ignore. That's also why the public watches Willie differently now. There was a time when people admired him. Now they monitor him. A missed show becomes a headline. A tired-looking photo sparks rumors. A random online post starts a wave of speculation about his health. People ask the same questions over and over. Is he okay? Is this the end? How much longer can he do this? Willie, to his credit, has often answered that kind of noise with humor. Over the years, there have been repeated false rumors about his death, and he's brushed them off with the kind of calm only someone with real perspective can have. A simple line. I'm still here. That may be the most Willie Nelson response possible. No panic. No melodrama. Just presence. And maybe that's why his aging feels so emotional to people. Because Willie doesn't seem to be fighting time in some loud, desperate way. He isn't turning it into a battle. He isn't trying to outshout reality. He's simply living through it. Showing up when he can. Playing when he can. Letting the rest unfold without performance. That honesty is rare. And it's made every recent appearance feel a little more meaningful. Crowds don't just cheer because they love the songs. They cheer because they know they are watching something fragile and powerful at the same time. Not fragile in spirit. Fragile in time. Because that's what Willie Nelson has become now. Not just a musician. Not just a country star. A living piece of American memory. And yet, for all the sadness people try to attach to this chapter, maybe tragic is still the wrong word. Yes, there is loss here. Friends gone. A body that doesn't move like it used to. Long nights that end in quiet rooms instead of crowded backstage conversations. A road that feels narrower than it once did. But tragedy usually belongs to lives cut short. To stories left unfinished. And Willie Nelson's story has never felt unfinished. It has been messy, beautiful, rebellious, full, exhausting, triumphant, complicated, and deeply human. He didn't disappear after one great decade. He kept going. He lasted long enough to see his music cross generations. Long enough to watch younger artists grow up under the influence of songs he wrote decades earlier. long enough to become part of the emotional furniture of American life. That matters. Because real legacy doesn't live in plaques or award speeches. It lives in ordinary moments. Someone driving alone at night with Always on My Mind playing through the speakers. Someone remembering a parent who loved Blue Eyes crying in the rain. Someone hearing On the Road Again and feeling an entire chapter of their own life come rushing back. That's where Willie lives now, maybe more than anywhere else. Inside memory. Inside routine. Inside the lives of people who attached his music to their own joys, heartbreaks, long drives, weddings, divorces, and quiet nights. Years ago, Willie said something simple that explains all of this better than any grand analysis ever could. Once people start living with a song, it doesn't belong to the singer anymore. It belongs to the listener. That may be the real reason his story doesn't need a dramatic ending. Because his work already moved beyond him. So maybe the road doesn't need one final stop sign. Maybe there doesn't have to be one last concert where everyone somehow knows this is it. Maybe the truest ending for Willie Nelson is the one already unfolding. Slower schedules. Quieter evenings in Texas. More time at home. A guitar nearby. A song played because it still feels good to play it, not because the world is demanding another performance. There's a kind of peace in that. For the first time in decades, the road doesn't seem to own him in quite the same way. It's still there. It always will be. But now he seems to be walking beside it instead of being carried by it. And in a strange way, that may be the most honest ending possible for a man who spent his entire life refusing to treat endings like a show. Because the truth is, Willie Nelson's real legacy isn't waiting in the future. It's already here. In more than 70 albums. In songs that still find people at exactly the right moment. In a voice that somehow still sounds like both heartbreak and comfort at the same time. In the millions of memories attached to music he gave away long ago. So the real question isn't when Willie Nelson's road ends. The real question is what happens when one of his songs finds you again. Maybe tonight. Maybe years from now. Maybe in some ordinary moment you didn't expect to matter. And when that familiar voice comes through the speaker, what part of your own life will it bring back with it? And before we come to the end of this video, I just want to take a moment to say a very big thank you to all of you for watching. Your time truly means a lot. In a world where there are thousands of videos you could be watching right now, the fact that you chose to spend a few minutes here with me on Hajararama TV is something I truly appreciate. This channel continues to grow because of viewers like you. Every view, every comment, and every bit of support helps this community become stronger. And that's what makes creating these videos so rewarding. If you enjoyed this video, please take a quick moment to like the video, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends or anyone who might enjoy this content. Your interaction really helps the channel reach more people who love stories, entertainment, and updates just like you do. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Hajararama TV, and turn on the notification bell so you'll always be among the first to know when a new video is uploaded. There are many more exciting videos coming your way very soon, and I would love for you to be part of this journey as the channel continues to grow. I also enjoy hearing your thoughts, so feel free to drop your opinions, ideas, or suggestions in the comment section. Your voice matters here, and your feedback helps make Hajararama TV even better. Once again, thank you so much for watching and for being part of this amazing community. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, stay entertained, and keep watching Hajararama TV.